question. How would the speech that I gave today be received at a Tea Party meeting? And I have to tell you, because I'm running, I've attended quite a few Tea Party meetings only in the past year. I've always been a Ron Paul supporter, but I have not been part of any Tea Party organizations until I started this campaign. So I've gotten to meet some of them. And the guys that put on that debate the other day, you know, the Tea Party Express or whatever. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Yeah. Well, those guys are co-opted by the very top of the Republican Party. That is a Republican Party front organization. And they would not like my speech. Although I have, since I wore a uniform, and, you know, they have a tough time openly getting upset about it because there's nothing false in it. And, you know, they don't like to criticize soldiers because they have this obsession about it. But, you know, that's them. They wouldn't like it. But I can tell you that many of the smaller groups that are people, including Democrats, Independents, Libertarians, Republicans, Independent Party, a lot of these guys understand what I'm talking about. They understand what you're talking about. They would rather have the money spent at home, not abroad. They see the corruption. They see the lack of accountability in government. It makes them very angry. So I think it's one thing that in the party combat that we're seeing in the run-up to this next election is to label Tea Party people as evil Republicans. Well, some of them are, but a lot of them are not. They're just people that care about this country. And I think that those people would definitely receive what I had to say very much as anybody else would.
Second question. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, the circumstances are very different, but I'm just curious what the truth behind the Bradley man. What was the question?
Thoughts about Bradley Manning?
What do you think of Bradley?
Well, I wholly support him in every way possible. I also am very frightened at the way our government has responded, not just to him as a suspect, okay, because he has not had a trial yet, but also to WikiLeaks in general, non-American overseas media organization. You know, to want to charge in Australia with American treason. This is crazy stuff, and so crazy things are going on. Very concerning.
Yes.
I asked him that question on an interview, and I told him at the time, which I had not been following the Manning, you know, since I was in my own thing, you know, for a while, and I hadn't been following that. But I told him I know, it was the French people, when they were doing the documentary. And so I told him at the time, I said, to me, it's all on intent. And I would have to know more about what his personal intent. Each one of us who do what we do, it's around intent. And you have to look at that intent to know whether you can, you know, where you are going to be. You know, as those of you who are knowledgeable, you know, of that, you know, intent. I'm sure you can give a very answer as to what your position is. But I am going to look more into, since it has come up here, and I was asked that by the French, you know, as to what was my opinion on that. And I didn't have one, and I still hadn't had the time yet to look into his case. I know something about it, but I don't know where they have laid out his intent was.
Okay, I just want to say one thing about Brad Manning, because I have followed it. His first major leak, the thing that he put out, the thing that as I understand it, motivated him, was that video of our soldiers basically turkey shooting these guys, civilians, including AP reporters. After we had refused to provide the information to the employers of these Reuters guys, or I think they were Reuters, anyway. Our government was not following procedure, okay, and our government was embarrassing Americans and being immoral. So I can't speak to his motivation of what he's been accused of doing, but I would suspect it's very similar to most other whistleblowers.
Last question by Janet.
You guys don't know me yet. Maybe you'll know me a little bit later after you hear me sing and do what I do, which isn't standing up and making speeches or reading speeches or spending half my life in the military and then waking up one day and realizing, gee, what a big mistake that was, and aren't I sorry, and aren't I going to are going to have to put ourselves into it first in order to get our support and our pensions and our salaries, and then expect to be able to change it just by one day waking up and turning a 360 and becoming an anti-war activist.
Jan, that's a question we're going to address all day long tomorrow.
Well, it's been great.
I would like to take a half of that. Because I understand what you're saying, but let me tell you, and I am saying this specifically for an audience that leans towards the left, okay? And I'm not saying that as an insult in any way, shape, or form.
It's not left or right.
Fine. Many people who complain about the federal state, the warfare state, the military-industrial complex, okay? Those same people say, well, and I heard it even today, okay? We need to take that money and have the government use it in a different way. And I'm telling you, it is a warfare welfare state. It is the same state. If you don't trust it to do your wars, then you better be careful trusting it to do your welfare. So you need to think about that, okay? Because you can't have it both ways. The state in itself lends itself to the very story that Bonatine explained to you. It lends itself to making wars and lies for its own interest. That's what the state does. If it doesn't have the money to conduct it in war, it will corrupt it in ways that it spends domestically. Why do I want to be part of it?
You just said that's what the state does.
That's right.
Okay, Janet, you're going to have to close now, and let's celebrate